Come on into the ditch. I'm your resident ditch witch, Tara Tyne, and we're about to get witchy, whether you like it or not. Today we are in the beautiful and historic Kennedy's pub in Dundalk, which was, I see there on the bar, it says it was established in 1777, and it's always been a big stop off for travellers coming through Dundalk. Today the train station is right across the road, so always a very busy hub, and I'm very, very happy to be joined today by a very old friend of mine, Kieva Bradley, who would have been a fairly formative influence on me in my younger years when it came to sort of experience with and perhaps belief in the supernatural. Kieva, how are you? It's lovely to have you here with us.
Thank you very much. And not too old, folks. we go back a while, yes, but not too old.
She's okay, maybe not a very old
not
friend.
Very old, just a little bit old.
A long time friend.
A long time friend. Yes.
So, I mean, do you know, this is one thing that we always kind of had in common, and I felt when I was younger, like, things, you know, the spooky aspects of our local history, there wasn't maybe many people you could go to talk about it, or at least there wasn't for me, but yourself and our very good mutual friend, God rest her, Teresa, who unfortunately passed away at the at the veil between the years just passed. So the three of us kind of would have had a deep interest in this kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, as long as I can remember, it was something that was always part of my life, you know, whether I had a choice or not. And really, it kind of kicked off, I suppose, with me when I was very, very young. Very, very young. In fact, actually, I think if I could actually pinpoint the situation when it kicked off for me was, you know, the shock. You would have heard of a shock years ago at the back of your house.
Yes.
The shock, right?
Yes.
We had a shock at the back of the house. And I was with a cousin of mine, in fact, and I actually fell backwards into the shock. Now, what happened thereafter was a little bit of a blur until I could see myself standing between the beautiful olive green bathroom suite that I think everybody in Ireland had at one time.
Yeah,
I think everybody had this suite in the bathroom. So I was standing between the sink and the bath, looking at myself lying in the bath with my dad, Lord rest him, also he's gone with us, he's passed. And he actually had his hand underneath my head, scooping muck out of my eyes and out of my nose. Now, people say all these things, you know, that see the light, you know, in the room and all these different things. I didn't. I just seen myself lying in the bath, but as quick as it happened, it went, and I kind of came to, for want of better words, and my dad was crying. He was on his knees at the side of the bath, and I'm like, what just happened here? Oh my God, what just happened? And kind of from then, it really spiraled, I suppose, and it kind of kicked off, you know. I suppose, to coin the phrase, I seen dead people.
Yeah, and that's when it started, or at least that's when you remember it started. Really.
Absolutely. I suppose the other thing was, though, after it did happen, I did think I was a bit mad, like growing up kind of later on in teenage years and stuff. I did think I was a little bit mad because I'd hear things or see things and go, is that really happening? Did that really happen? Did I just imagine that? Do I need professional help? What's going on here? And it turned out it was something, actually, in fact, it had run throughout generations of my family that I wasn't aware of.
Yes. And when did you find that out? And how did you find that out?
Well, actually, I suppose one of the first major things, I suppose, that really, really happened was I lived in the northern part, the northern skirts of town, I suppose, at the Ordinary Road, if anybody knows it. And there was a gentleman, I suppose, that was passing, and I thought I was late home from college. I suppose I should just give a little background. And I thought it was my dad out looking for me, he was going to kill me. I was late home from college, missing my dinner, missed everything. And this gentleman had a bowler hat on him and a Crombie coat, or like a big Campbell coat, really heavy, as I would have known in a Crombie coat, because my grandfather used to have one. And he had his hood, he had his collar up, so you couldn't really see his face. I'm visualising him, so excuse me for looking at the floor for a minute, because I'm actually visualising him as we speak. He had a walking stick, but what was quite weird, beside where I lived there was a milk garage, and it was a milk garage, there was nothing in it, only a milk garage. But when I went to go into the house, this gentleman, and he had very good manners in fact actually, he tipped his hat at me. And of course I went, hello, he didn't answer me, he didn't speak to me, and he went into the milk garage. So I went into my dad in a blind panic, thinking, Dad's going to kill me, I'm late, all these things, you know. And he was like, what's wrong with you? And then it clicked, I was like, this guy hadn't got legs. This guy had no legs, what's going on here? Now he had a stick, he Did he float? I don't know. I really don't know. All I know is he had no legs. So I went in a blind panic to my dad, and I was like, right, it's not you. And then I told him the story, and he was trying to rationalise it, obviously. He's like, no, look, it was somebody that just went in, maybe came out of the pub and forgot where he was going, or whatever the case may be, or whatever. So he actually came out with me to find him, and we couldn't find him. He was nowhere to be found. And then where I lived, there was a big bridge, so we would have seen him go over the bridge and across the. It was.
There's nowhere else to go.
And there is nowhere.
Especially not at that time.
No, there's actually, and even the gentleman in question, he wouldn't have been able to walk fast enough.
Yes.
To be able to
disappear from sight.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I went in and I kind of obviously freaked out. I was like, oh my god, Dad. So I spoke to an aunt of mine, and she was like, okay, pet. She did the real Irish thing.
Talk.
Right, pet. The talk, but not that kind of talk.
Yes. Yeah. The talk when you're a certain kind of child.
Yeah. I'd like to say I'm special, but there you go. So I sat down, and she was like, listen, pet, sit down. We need to talk. And I was like, what's wrong with me? She's like, nothing's wrong with you. Actually, this is something that we all know about, and it has been going on. And guess what? So you're next in line then. We just didn't know who was going to be.
Yeah.
I would have quite a few cousins, you know, and stuff. So, yeah, I drew the short straw. So that was kind of the first introduction, I suppose, and then things kind of went from there, I suppose. Now, sporadically, and at times in my life, major times, when I had my 2 children, it all kind of died off.
Yes.
At really, really poignant, important times in my life, it vaned off.
Yes.
And I went, so.
I think for an awful lot of people, a time when they'll find, you know, people who are prone to that kind of ability. So for you, it's kind of, you're seeing people, and I remember you telling me that a lot of the time that they'd be missing parts of themselves. That's the way that they present to you. And I think for a lot of people, it's kind of when you're in your, I think for girls especially, when you're in your teens and your adolescence, that stuff like this can tend to come out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, there would have been a lot of sort of satanic panic kind of incidences happening around Dundalk, maybe around the time you were a teenager and into your 20s.
But can this I can honestly say from the bottom of my heart, I have never delved in anything.
Yes.
You know, and this is very important.
Well, you knew better.
Oh God, no. I dared go home. I'd be dragged to mass with earlugs up to mass. And no, I absolutely didn't. I had never would. And to be very honest, I'd actually be too afraid.
Yes.
And that's the truth. You know, it was always instilled into us anyway. Even before I knew anything, you don't dabble with stuff you do not understand.
Yes.
Very important. It was like it came with a neon warning straight away, you know.
Yes.
And I really didn't. And I have to say that this was something that was just thrust, I suppose, upon me without a choice. Maybe.
There was no need to go looking for more of it.
Oh goodness, no.
So what was it like to be somebody, you know, that kind of knew better? A bit like myself, I would have been sensible that way too. Now I would have, you know, maybe done kind of a couple of risky things, not understanding how, you know, how powerful they may have been. But when it came to like soliciting, you know, and trying to welcome things in, I was never into any of that, because there was just an instinct in me told me that wasn't a good idea. But what was your experience of being somebody sensible, shall we say, at a time when maybe not everybody
was I ever sensible?
Was.
I don't know.
Well, in this way at least, I suppose, Kiva, you could have done a lot worse.
True.
What was it like to be, you know, somebody who wasn't interested in tricking that kind of with that kind of thing, but not necessarily able to completely avoid people who were tricking with that sort of thing? Because that's the other thing, is that even if you don't go looking,
people gravitate.
People do gravitate to you.
Like. I've found that over the years with it, people with similar interests. You absolutely you don't need to go looking for people. You certainly don't need to, you know, as you say, commission people or do anything like that.
Yeah.
They just naturally gravitate towards. I don't know if it's we have a little kind of inner, I don't know, little flicker switch or something.
It's like the witch in me sees the witch in you kind of vibes going on.
I would say my dad would probably agree. My mummy is a witch.
Yeah.
And not for that way.
That's what I call it. You know, I hope you don't take that as an insult. Not everybody wants to be a witch, but I think an awful lot of us are anyway, Kiva, whether we want to be or not.
As I say, poor Tara with PTSD now after.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know, like, and things like that can happen to you. And the worst part about it is you can't really talk about it. But again, we were delving back in time there to times when a lot of this stuff was going on in your circles.
And we'd never speak about it, but you wouldn't speak about it. That's the thing.
Outside of the circle,
oh God, absolutely not. It would almost be like, no, to be really honest, it was like, she's not right in the head.
Yes.
Or what was she doing? She must have been at something. And then the finger would come out. You nearly see the mammy and everybody going, she must have been doing something.
Yes.
It wasn't.
Yes, yeah.
You know, so only within your close-knit circle, or in my case maybe my family, that we would have spoken about something. You know, maybe if something like that really impacted me, or I was genuinely scared. Because obviously there were situations that happened, and I'm sure we get on to one particular situation that happened, and it scared the living life out of me. Like it really did. And so I'd come home and I'd be looking for advice actually. What do I do? How do I for even protect myself?
Yes.
What do I do? Which is very important.
Yes.
And so then I'd get, well, what were you doing there? Of course, what were you doing in the middle of that? You know, and you go, oh.
But sure, you don't know any better when you're younger.
No.
You gravitate to people that have, and they gravitate to you with similar interests.
Absolutely.
And you could have already made best friends by the time you discover that, oh, we're both into this.
There's a similar interest.
But you know, tell me about the moment when you realise that they're into it, but they're into it in a way that you're not into it. I know that you know. This would have been a scary thing for me over the years, but I didn't have half the experience. I kind of just was like a bit of a social recluse. I kind of avoided most people most of the time to be safe. But you learned the hard way there, Kiva. Tell us what happened to you. Well, it happened to somebody.
Which time?
Yeah, well, I mean,
which one do you want?
I suppose, you know, the big one,
situation.
The house situation, because we've been talking about that recently on the channel, where it's actually a house that has become full of things that the inhabitants don't know how to control or get rid of.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so so a very, well, I suppose quite a long time ago now at this stage, I was sharing a house with a couple of different people, and one of the girls in particular, a friend of hers, would have been, I suppose, dabbling, would that be the right word? Dabbling, or maybe pursuing something that she didn't quite understand it. And let me just say, I don't fully understand, so I don't claim to be any kind of expert, far from it. I only can just speak truthfully about my own experience. I'm no expert, I don't ever claim to be. But anyway, long and short of it, anyway, so a phone call came that she was dabbling with certain things, and would we come down, because she was petrified in her home. So we did, and said, well, what's going on? There were 4 of us at the time, you know, went down to the house, and of course me being one of them, apart from I was just really nosy, and so that was grand. And when we moved in, she had told us that there was tiles swinging in the house, and there was doors banging, and there was lots of stuff happening, and she had basically played with a Ouija board on her own, and I don't know if she'd done some kind of incantations or something, or she started calling corners, all these things that you hear about, you know, and watched in films and all these different things. I really don't know what she did because I wasn't there.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
So long and short of it anyway, so we said, right, well, look, this girl was petrified, and so we said, right, we'll go down and see what's going on. And I know, Tara, we've spoken about this before, and we've spoken off camera about this. I don't think I was ever as scared, apart from one other incident in my whole entire existence, when we went down. I can't, it's so very hard to explain. When you walk in the door, it was almost like something hit you. Now, there was like a wind that was pouring through the house, there was no question about this. There was tiles swinging in all directions. I suppose when we were able to isolate one particular area, she said she started Ouija board basically in her bedroom. So I said, right, okay. And I'm walking up the stairs, big brave Kiva, whilst I'm like this, you know, like, because I'm only human, everybody's only human, you know, and that was grand, and we all followed suit and walked into the room, and my dude to call on, he has always been I had to call him my dude, my man, Archangel, that I always and ever have called on if anything has ever happened, is Archangel Michael.
Yes.
He's just my dude. He's my dude, you know, and he's the guy I've always never called on if there's anything has scared me or anything like that, or just really uncomfortable somewhere. Go, will you just protect me? Just do what you need to do because I need your help. As simple as that. No big highfalutin anything. Just please come and help me. I need you right now. Please help me. So that was grand, and did that and walked into the room. Oh my goodness. Gospel truth. All I can say is it was like a different entity. There was an oppression in the room. Yeah. And this is the truth. There was an oppression in the room. It was so scary. There was a swirl. It was unbelievable. There was an ensuite to the bedroom, and there was stuff flying in directions. And another girl, that girl had passed, Teresa, she was my best friend for 25 years. Yeah. And she if she was here, she would be able to testify what I'm saying. She's in it first hand also. Well, the two of us went in anyway to see what was what, and all I can say is I got into the centre of the room and I was literally stuck to the floor. I couldn't move. I could not move. I'd never experienced this before, and I've never experienced it after, and I don't ever want to experience it again. It was horrendous.
Yeah.
I couldn't move, and it was like something was circling me. My friend Teresa, your friend Teresa,
Yes.
came in. She was literally lifted and fired against the wall.
Yeah.
The two of us were the only two who managed to get into the room.
Yeah.
The door slammed behind us, and the other two girls who were right at the front couldn't get in. The door was completely locked. Now they were shouting, open the door, open the door. It was locked from the inside or outside. I have no idea. All I know is we couldn't get out. I was wedged to the spot. It was like if somebody super glued my 2 feet to the floor.
Yeah.
Teresa was lifted and fired against the wall, and I'm like screaming, saying, Michael, come on, I need you now. Now I really need you. If I never needed you before, I need you now. I need you right now. Now, eventually it did calm down, and I was like, what have you done? What were you doing? This is beyond anything I've ever witnessed before in my life. And she had said basically she was playing with Ouija boards and all that kind of stuff and whatever. So needless to say, I gave her a bit of a dressing down. And I wasn't a mammy at the time, but I was kind of destined to be a mammy in fairness too.
Yes,
I give her
yeah.
what are you doing?
Well, somebody had to do it.
Even was that bad, I did 2 fingers. Right. And the poor girl, she definitely was traumatised, there's no question. Now I know later on had to take somebody in to bless the house and do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And she really wasn't right, that poor girl, for a while. She really wasn't. I think everything's fine. I presume everything's fine now.
It can take decades for things like that to move on.
Oh.
I'm actually, in a few weeks' time, I have an interview coming up with Father Dara Malloy, who was the priest quoted in the Dundalk Democrat from my story about the exorcism that happened in Dundalk. He had been involved in some stuff like that in town as well at the time, and he felt very passionate about getting the word out to people. Look, this stuff is real. Please stay away from it. Because it was frightening the shite out of the local priests. Like, they didn't know what to do with it.
I was afraid.
Yeah, curse away, Kiva. So I have him coming on to talk about it as well from his perspective and all the stuff that they were experiencing at the time. Because as you say, like, when you don't know what you're doing,
absolutely.
and you're calling the priest, and like there was priests called in that situation. Father Malloy said to me that one of the girls involved in one of the incidences in town had come to see him not so long ago, and that she seemed to be okay now, but that's 40 years ago, like. Do you know what I mean? It can really change your whole life. Something like that.
After that, like, I even myself, like, the way you come away from somewhere and you almost kind of do a post-mortem on it.
Yes.
You dissect it and go, did you see this? Did you see this? What did you experience? What did you experience? And Teresa, again, Lord rest her, like that, speaking to her, she just came out, and like, Teresa's personality, and for anybody who doesn't know, she was the life and soul. She was she was there, she was a big girl, like, you wouldn't lift her easy at the time, she was all there off a bunch of bad words. She liked her dinners.
She was a hero, and she's also very into, like, honesty. And I remember when you were telling me these stories when I was kind of younger and starting to get into stuff, and you were probably right to be sharing this stuff with me, because I was into the occult, I was into spooky stuff,
and that's why.
And it was just as well that I had people to kind of go, no, it is real and it is scary.
It is real and it is scary.
But, I remember watching Teresa's face for any sign that you were spinning me a yarn, because I was also very sceptical,
of course,
too, It's like, these are just having me on, they just think I'm gullible and whatever.
I get that.
But as life went on and things got sort of steadily witchier, in most instances, no, like, seeking out of it of my own. Like, I will tell my story and how I got here someday, but it certainly wasn't something that I consciously went looking for.
No.
And over the years, the two of yous telling me these things have just come back to me so many times, at times when I'm going, no, my opinion on that has not changed at all this time. No. It is dangerous, it's to be avoided. I think we need to get you a wee sip of tea before we move on to the next question. Okay. So we take a very quick tea break, and we'll be back in a flash.
Lubricate myself.
Alright, so we're back, we've got the cups of tea, and a little disclaimer as well. Kiva would like to inform people that.
Yeah, I know we're speaking about this stuff, right? And it's a bit out there, but it is the witchy season and all that, but I swear to God I am normal. I promise. I swear, I really
She has
am.
like a real job and everything.
I have a real proper job and everything. I really mean that. Like, I actually but I just want to let everybody know, I promise you I am normal. Kinda.
About as normal as any of the rest of us.
There you go.
And definitely anyone watching this channel. So I wanted to, we're actually, this is like a dual purpose video, and the other point to it was that I discovered that you are holding on to some local folklore that maybe not too many people have. And again, it started with very supernatural sort of instances where all this came out of, which I love. That's my favourite kind of folklore. So you were sharing a house with our mutual friend Teresa that we have discussed for a very long time in the centre of town on Cumbrassel Street.
Yes.
I don't think it's too improper to name the house as being Alma House on Cumbrassel Street, where Kieran's the tailors and dressmakers was for many years. I was always, I had been coming up and down to see Teresa for like you say, 25 years, and I never got comfortable with Alma House. I actually stayed there once or twice as well, here and there with Teresa, and I just was never not afraid of it. And that was because I knew that there were spirits walking around it.
Oh, very much so, yeah.
And just that, the fact that there were things that I couldn't see with my eyes, but I was so aware that they were there. And people didn't really talk about it until
us.
Until you did talk about it then. And I did remember Teresa telling me that there used to be the ghost of a boy who she said was dressed in Victorian garb, which would have been in line with the era when her family, I think I remember hearing that it was a blacksmith that built it, and the Kierans then leased it from him, and then or maybe bought it, but they kind of acquired it off him, and I think there was a bit of messing over that over the years as well. But they had that whole corner there, Kieran's, the dressmakers and tailors. So Teresa would tell me that she would see this boy at her second floor bedroom window, where there was nothing.
There's nothing.
It's on the side of the house, which goes down into Bachelor's Walk.
Correct, yeah. Now, personally, I have never seen the wee boy.
Yes.
But I did hear him personally.
Yes.
And at that window particularly, he seemed to always go to that window, and I know there was another girl, an independent girl, who actually had heard it, and she cacked herself, like, let's be honest.
Yes.
But like that myself, I was in the sitting room of that house, and I heard the knock on the window, and I was like, the window, like, initially you kind of go, someone's at the window, and they go, we're 2 floors
up, yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
We're 2 floors up, the logic hits you,
Yes.
and then you go, because I would be logical by nature. I
Yes.
always would look for logical answers, and I would, that's just me by nature. I suppose I doubt in Thomas before I go to there.
Yes.
Now,
well, you have to be in this line of business.
Yeah, totally. So I was like, yeah, okay, knock. Oh, there's someone at the window. Oh, hold on, 2 floors up. And then, of course, the brave part of me was like, I'm going to go and see who this is. And then I suppose my sanity came to one. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to know. You're okay. I just waved you from closed doors.
Yes.
I
probably would have been down in the street in me 90 now at that point, to be honest.
I tell you, if I probably had seen him, I'd be with him quicker than he thought. If I had actually seen him at the window.
Yeah.
That's it. I did hear him. I suppose one other time that sticks out. Well, back to what we were saying about the blacksmith. I suppose to pay homage potentially to the person who may have built it. Now, it was Teresa Lordette again who told me the story.
Yes.
Have I any particular evidence? Not at the minute, no. And I have looked. I really have looked.
Yes.
That her ancestor, Freddie Kieran of Frederick, but he was known as Freddie. He was actually a blacksmith, and he built the house apparently.
Oh yes.
He was the one that built
That's
the house.
what it was. Yes.
Yeah, he built the house, and he actually, as I say, he would have been quite well to do, I suppose.
Yes.
Blacksmith would have been quite well to do at the time, and with the line of work they were in. But he was unjustly accused of stealing a horse, and he was hung. I have never been able to find where his body lies, or where it is, or what they did with it.
Yes.
Because I would love to pay homage to him, really, because this guy, because I remember saying to Teresa, the real Irishman, now did he? Now did he really?
Yeah.
Do you know what she's like? Well, look, I'm going from what I was told, and he really didn't. He was really accused in the wrong. Did he get above his station? Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Was the legals of the town maybe threatened by his stature?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And well, blacksmiths also, even then in the 18th century when that house would have been built, and we know that because there's horsehair in the walls.
There's horsehair in the walls, yeah, that's right.
So, back at that point, the blacksmith would have been a very sort of like spiritually powerful, perhaps a fearsome figure to some people, because he had the ability to bless and to curse with his anvil.
There you go.
So they were very magical people in and of themselves, and much like, you know, some independent businesswomen in Ireland were sent to witch trials and executed as witches. Not many of them now, but there were a couple. That it is a possibility, we don't really know, but it's a possibility that may have been a factor in whatever kind of happened with Freddie.
Possibly so.
And this was a piece of family folklore that has been
passed
handed
down the generations. So I suppose that leads on then to, well, where is that joined in with the paranormally stuff?
Yes.
So that was grand, and again, Trace and I were sitting talking one night about the history of the house and the family, her family, because it's quite relevant obviously to her, and etc. etc. I remember her saying to me, I actually got really sad about this. I know we spoke about this, that Freddie's son, Clarence, I believe his name was, there would have been a house fire.
Yes.
A very, very long, I don't even know how long ago, if I'm being very honest about it, way back in the day, but he died on the stairs.
Yes.
He was burned to death on the stairs. So we were talking about that, and I actually felt so, because like the poor guy lost his life and the whole thing or whatever, and sure, I'm now Legion anyway, and sure, a big soft out Legion, and I felt really sorry for Clarence and the whole thing or whatever. And we were sitting, and I said, oh God, imagine if you could see him. Imagine if you could see him. And so she says, right. Now, look, maybe she obviously had a gift somewhere along the line, because she was like, should I call him?
Yeah.
I was like, what? Should I call him? So
I
I
remember her telling me she used to chat with the spirits in the house. She'd be talking to them.
Talking away to them. And she's like, sure. What she did, she says, call him. And I'm like, what do you mean call him? She said, call him. So the way that if you remember this, the way the sitting room was positioned, the couch was nearly to the back of the facing the fireplace basically,
Yes.
and the TV was in the corner. So the TV was off, and excuse me when I put my cup down. The TV was off. Talk with my hand. Sorry. The TV was in the corner, and we're sitting anyway. And I said, right, okay, right, Clarence, if you can hear me, pardon me, show yourself. Now, if he had walked through the door, I probably would have passed out.
Yes.
Now, to be very
Like
honest,
yourself,
I
yes.
probably, if there was a full body apparition, I would have probably passed out.
Yes.
No, so you're all right. Keep turning.
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Do not pass go and do not collect €200. Bye.
Again, out in the street in
Out
the
the street.
night.
Bye. So, but that was great. But actually, what was really, really weird, I did not see a face. I'm not going to tell you a word of a lie. I did not see a face, but his torso.
Yeah.
From midriff to just about neck.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do you see that? I was a bit like, holy fuck. Sorry. I was like, do you see that? She's like, yeah. But as if to say, Kiva, are you for real? You just called him, like, and now you're like, you know, it's like,
yeah.
what planet are you on? You just called him and he's here, like.
Yeah.
And I was like, Clarence. Like, you know, doing the whole, like, I'll be honest, I was like, is that you, Clarence? Clarence, is that you? Sure, of course there's no answer, like, it was just, but it was literally a torso, so it was like a bit of him I seen.
Yeah.
And I was like, is that him? She's like, yeah, he's standing over, but what was really weird, I kind of went, I did the proper, like, is this really happening?
Yeah.
Looking over my shoulder, and he wasn't there. Looking into the TV, he was there. Looking over my shoulder, nothing. Looking into the TV, he was there. And I was like, that is mad. That is mad. It was.
I love that, the shock when the thing you call
But actually,
comes.
I think the funniest thing was really her face. She was like, fuck's wrong with you? You just called him.
She was so nonchalant about that kind of thing, wasn't she?
Totally.
I vaguely remember her telling me, because there was a second fire in Alma House
That's
then during Teresa's lifetime, and I feel like she told me at one point, like, maybe she reckoned it was one of the ghosts.
It was Freddie. It was Freddie who woke her up and got her out, because it was the only room that survived in that house. If you
That's
remember.
right.
But on that floor.
That's right, yeah.
It was the only room that survived. Her and her uncle, or rest him also.
Yeah.
A's room. There was only 2 rooms in the whole, remember, floor that survived.
Yes.
And there was 2 people in them.
Yeah.
And everything else was just gutted. It was down to ash, basically.
So at the same time, like, whilst you're saying, you know, like, you wouldn't sit down and do a Ouija board.
Oh God, no.
But kind of calling the named spirits in a house that you're familiar and comfortable with, that you've been living in for a long time.
Yes.
You know the proprietor very, very well, and
absolutely.
they are very familiar with what's in the house as well. So that was kind of like safe circumstances.
Oh, very much so. I mean, if I had just gone into that house, I suppose, and not know anybody, not on your Nelly
Yeah.
would I have called anybody.
Yeah.
And because I would walk in somewhere, I'd know immediately
Yes.
if there's something in the house, because I could actually feel it.
Yeah.
I may not be able to see anybody,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
but I would know immediately if there was somebody. I'm not going to say an entity, because these spirits were people.
Yes, exactly.
And I think it's really important to acknowledge that these are people.
Yeah,
you
the
know,
personalities.
The personalities, they're people, you know, and they have their own, you know, identity, rather than saying this entity. Well, I'm not an entity, I'm a person.
Yes. Now, if Clarence had been, you know, been said to have been a very malevolent spirit, you mightn't have been as keen to.
Well, that's absolutely not. And I think he had a wee bit of a funny streak. No, I don't mean haha. I mean, I think another story that was said, there was somebody who disrespected Teresa.
Yes.
And Clarence did not, and he sorely disrespected
very
Teresa.
Protective of
Extremely.
the Kierans.
Oh, very much so.
You know, of their own family line, which I think is amazing. Like, that's really the ancestors, the protection of the ancestors in action there. And that was, you know, Teresa only moved out of Alma House less than 2 years ago.
Yeah. Like,
it was last Christmas, 12 months.
And again, I just think it's important. Again, I don't, and I just want to say it again, I don't have evidence based off, I'm going from what was said to me. So in case somebody maybe comes back and,
folklore.
Oh, totally. So in case somebody maybe says, oh, well, hold on, that's not right. I'm literally just going from what was said to me. I hope I have it right.
Yeah.
If I do have it wrong, apologies, I'm sorry. But look, you know, we can only just tell the story.
That's the nature of folklore, you know, and there could be many different versions of that. And hopefully now some of the people who's watching this, who's made it this far in the interview, hello to you people still watching. So maybe, you know, if you're into, I know there were a couple of people on the Dundalk North End and Friends group who knew a bit about the Kieran's business there and may have known some of the members of the family. We got back as far as Hughie and Madeline, which would have been Teresa's grandparents. But we'd love to see back a wee bit further than
that. Would be brilliant.
Or
I'd even love to know.
Yeah, exactly.
I lived in the house so many years myself, even, you know, like that. So it'd be nice to even know, I suppose, you know, even more so the people who live there, you know, and Auntie Bridie and all of them.
We've recorded the story now to the best of our ability.
Oh,
Kiva,
absolutely, yeah.
And I hope that Teresa would be honoured and happy with the job that we've done here, because who's going to remember it, you know? And all we can do is really put it into a video and cast it off into cyberspace. And I just knew, we got talking this month, I was actually contacting you, researching about my other local Ditchoween video to see if you knew anything about that, because I knew like that anything kind of happening in the town at a certain time, there's a good chance it gravitated towards you or some of your friends at some point. So I got on to you, and that's actually how we got talking about all of this stuff. And I went, you know what, like, there's so much there, like your experiences alone, Kiva, of just, there's such an insight into being plugged into that kind of thing, especially in a place like Dundalk. We have such a rich history here, like, and you know, whilst there can be very negative aspects to it, and it can make your social life nigh on impossible at times, you know, but at the same time, it sort of is, it's an honour and a privilege to be plugged into something like that too, isn't it? Like,
absolutely.
It's like getting the secret history of the place where you live.
Absolutely. Like, and you know, I remember this said to me a very long time ago, and I was only kind of like taking the mick, you know, do you feel honoured? Are you the chosen one? You know, this silliness. I'm like, no. No, I'm a normal girl who goes to work, who's a family person. I'm the same as everybody. I get up in the morning, go to work, I have me moments, I have this, I kill my children, they kill me, we all love each other. Yes. You know, recently married, I mean.
But otherwise very normal, you know.
Absolutely. You
know, animal sacrifice altars in your back garden.
I don't know, absolutely not. No, not even the hair of a rabbit. No,
scream.
Nothing.
Can you, just before we go, Kiva, would you have any words of advice that you'd like to share with young people who maybe are so inclined, maybe have that kind of talent, or even just people who are curious and thinking about getting involved in different aspects?
Oh, okay, right. I suppose, well, first things first, right? Take it from somebody who's middle-aged. If there's any young people here who are interested, if you're going to do something, do it very safely. Get involved in like a circle. You know, there's different spiritual circles going around. There's plenty of mediumship kind of things online that are safe. You need to protect yourself. Yes. You have to, first and foremost, protect yourself at all times. Yeah. You really do need to. In relation to playing around with spells and Ouija boards, I might have a slightly different take than you, Tara. I'm actually afraid of all that stuff, would you believe, even after all this conversation.
Oh, I'd be the same. I would
stay the hell away from it. And it's
even telling stories about it, I'm kind of going, oh God, like, I hope
Yeah,
this doesn't come back and bite me in the ass.
Yeah, I know people like that too. I'll never work in Dundalk again. No.
Yes.
But if there's anything, you know, please don't take chances. I don't know who's going to watch this video. I hope plenty do, actually, by the way. But whoever's going, please don't take any chances. Protect yourself at all times. If in any doubt, just don't do it. Just don't do it, because you don't know what you're doing. You have no idea. If you open something, you may not know how to close it.
Yes.
You know, and even if you go, oh, I know what I'm doing, nobody really knows what they're doing.
It's not a circle assault isn't going to do it. I got to see it beyond a certain point. Like, yeah.
A real.
And also, if you're coming across like things that are local to your area too and very specific, do you know, the internet can't always necessarily tell you how to deal with something like that. You need like a supervisor, like a mentor.
Absolutely.
Somebody you can call and go, look, I've got this situation, what do I do? Like,
absolutely. Like, as I said, I was just blessed. I mean, in relation to being able to talk to my family members and just say, look, like, to be real, I got myself in this fucking hole and I don't know what to do. I don't know even know how I get into it, but here we are. And I was very, very lucky to be able to be guided. Not everybody's so lucky.
Yes.
You know, so what I would certainly say is, please, I'm imploring of you. Now, I mean, I don't implore of anybody, but I'm imploring of you, just don't do it.
Yeah.
And if you are insistent on finding out more, go to a spiritual circle. You know, as I said, there's plenty of mediumship stuff online that you can go to for somebody who's trained on how to close something down properly, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
You know, there's loads of very safe ways to do. If that's you're so inclined, cool. And if you're not, cool. As I said, with being gifted, do I see myself as being gifted? No. Have I PTSD? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. Yes, I
sometimes
really do.
more a burden than a gift, Kiva, maybe as well. Yeah.
No, very, very recently, friends of mine were above in the house up until 2 weeks ago, and we were having a curry. Yes, we were having a curry, and I do think it was Teresa. Again, she pops up a lot because it's very relevant.
Especially when you're talking about
Especially because her 1 year anniversary will be coming up very soon on New Year's Eve, and we were speaking about her, and a bottle opener I have literally shot across the room.
Yeah,
you know,
she's always, since she passed, she's knocking things off your wall and things like that constantly. Like,
I mean, and like that, you know, you would see shadows passing, and then I said, do I need the glasses changed? Is that what's wrong with me? And then I said, nah, do you know, I know it's her, and it's, you know, it is a comfort as well.
I don't feel like she's doing like any of that stuff on me, because if she did, with the nature of the stuff I've been at, the first place my mind would go to is, oh my God, it's the devil and he's coming for me. So she wouldn't do it, but she's made her presence
very much
known to me, you know, and I feel her even here with us. We're having this conversation.
Oh, so. Absolutely. So she'd be loving, like, she'd be sitting there with a cup of tea as well, saying, come here, let's tell you
I don't know if she'd want to be on camera now talking about all that weird stuff. I mean, she believed in it.
Well, she did. Well, she was part of it.
Yeah, I mean, she was, but she wasn't. You know, she wasn't in your face to tell people about it at all.
You see, years ago, and I know I see now, I started being on a tangent now. See, years ago, it was not shunned, but it was kind of shunned. As I said, I know we touched on it earlier, but you just didn't speak about it. You know, because you'd be seen as not right. There's that one. It's not right.
Yes. Yeah.
But I know we said, you know, it's more open now and it's more accepted, and which is really, really good. Because, as I said, I am actually normal.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the stigma that's the real killer. Like, if you can't ask for help, if you can't talk to other people about what has happened to you, or, you know, that's where the real danger comes into.
Absolutely,
absolutely,
you know? Yeah, no, 100%.
Look, Kiva, it's been a hell of a chat, pardon the pun. Thanks for joining me, and thank you all for joining me as well on this, I think it's day 9 of Ditchoween. Hit subscribe to join me over the ditch for more spooky adventures. I'm uploading every Sunday, Tuesday and Thursday for the whole month of October. It's all spooky and it's mostly Irish. Thank you as well, a massive thanks to Kennedy's pub here in Dundalk for looking after us, and the teas class, and they've been very, very good, and letting us just chat away. Slánge, right?
Slánge.
And Sarah and Hannah, happy Halloween to you, Kiva, and to all of you at home. Slán agus Bannacht, goodbye and good luck to you.